Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our 9 p.m. English News Edition. Here are the headlines. A prize giving ceremony for the National Quran Memorization and Recitation Competition was held today at the People's Palace. Update on the international update on the Egypt-Cyprus-Greece tripartite summit diplomatic discussion on the situation in Gaza and Syria. Welcome to our newsroom. Yesterday, the People's Palace hosted an exceptional ceremony to honor the winners of the 26th edition of the national competition for memorization, recitation, and of the Holy Quran. The event took place in an atmosphere imbued with faith and excellence under the high patronage of Mr. Momin Hassan Barre, Minister of Islamic Affairs and Waqf, in the presence of the Minister of the Interior and Budget, as well as numerous scholars, preachers, and senior officials from the ministry. Dozens of male and female candidates who competed for top position in this Quranic competition also participated in the ceremony. The guest watched an audiovisual presentation highlighting the efforts of the Ministry of Islamic Affairs and Waqf to promote the Holy Book, particularly through the organization of Quranic competitions and the online teaching of the Quran to children, thanks to the studio of the Al-Wasatiyya Institute and the Culture of Peace. Sheikh Anwar Ali Abd, a jury member, gave a brief speech praising the remarkable performances of the candidates, who were divided into 3 categories: full memorization of the Holy Quran, memorization of 20 parts, and memorization of 10 parts. The Director of Islamic Affairs, Mr. Ismail Roble Hassan, emphasized that the national competition is a crucial pillar in strengthening the place of Quran in the hearts of young people. He also added the role of this competition in promoting authentic religious values and strengthening spiritual ties within the community. Mr. Hassan expressed his gratitude to the Minister of Islamic Affairs and Waqf for his unwavering commitment to the success of this competition and the achievement of its noble objectives. In his speech, the Minister of Islamic Affairs and Waqf, Mr. Momin Hassan Barre, for his part, emphasized the importance of instilling the Holy Quran in the hearts of children and young people. He stated that the Quran teaching studio for children and youth located at the Al-Wasatiyya represent a pioneering initiative by the ministry. Offering the new perspective for online Quranic education, the minister also spoke about the central role of imams in spreading and teaching the Quran, stressing the value of memorizing the Holy Book for the development of individuals and communities. The ceremony concluded with the award presentation to the winners of this 26th edition. This annual event of national significance provides memorizers with the opportunity of showcase their talent and qualify for the prestigious regional competition. The state prize, organized every Ramadan by the ministry, thus a new glorious chapter in the history of the national Quranic memorization competition, was written, continuing an annual tradition of fair competition to celebrate to the celebration of excellence of the valorization of the Holy Book, Al-Quran Al-Karim. Now, the President of the Republic announced the launch of the National Heritage Week, emphasizing the importance of preserving Djibouti's cultural identity in the face of globalization. This initiative includes the digitization of national archives and making heritage more accessible to the public.
This year's new political season opened under the sign of ambition and reflection with significant announcements from the President of the Republic. In a solemn speech, he discussed his government's priority for the coming month, emphasizing the need to strengthen national identity and preserve cultural heritage.
Aujourd'hui, la globalisation qui s'offre à nous Our vision of development cannot be limited to social and economic dimensions. It must also include the protection and promotion of what forms the essence of our nation, our cultural heritage. In a world where globalization of heritage local specificities, it is vital to safeguard and enrich our national identity, which is constantly being challenged. The National Heritage Week scheduled will be a unique opportunity to celebrate and promote our cultural heritage. This event will mark a milestone in our efforts to reaffirm the central role of heritage in our collective identity. It will allow all generations to reconnect with the values, tradition, and history that have shaped our nation. Additionally, the transfer of public archives to the National Archives Administration represents a cultural step in preserving our collective memory. These archives, true witness of our history, are more than more documents. They are the living roots of our past that will nurture future generations. By making them accessible, we ensure that this invaluable resource remains a source of learning and inspiration for our citizens. By valuing our roots, we not only honor our past, but also build a solid and authentic future. This return to our cultural foundation strengthens national unity, fosters a sense of our belonging and pride, and showcases to the world the uniqueness and resilience of our nation. It is by protecting and celebrating our heritage that we provide our country with a stable foundation to face the challenges of tomorrow while remaining to our profound identity.
The choice to launch this initiative during the political return to politics is not insignificant. At a time where globalization tends to standardize cultures, the President stressed the importance of refocusing on Djibouti's cultural roots. Preserving our heritage is essential to building a strong and resilient identity, he said. As a result, the President of the Republic announced with remarkable solemnity the launch of National Heritage Week scheduled for next December. Why such a strategic choice at this very moment in a world where the rampart of globalization impose uniform and often dehumanized standards? It has become crucial for our country to refocus on its cultural foundations. The preservation of our heritage, whether tangible or intangible, is an urgent need. The head of state, aware of this issue, has made this preservation a central priority of his public action. It is undeniable that the wealth of a nation is not measured exclusively in terms of economic. It is also defined by its ability to remember, cultivate its roots, and transmit a living heritage to future generations. This transmission is essential to building a strong and resilient identity capable of facing contemporary challenges. It is with this in mind that the official journal of the Republic, Witness to Our Collective History, was the first to benefit from a vast digitization operation. This major mission was entrusted to the Secretary General of the government, Al-Mis Mahmoud, who successfully led this initiative, digitizing 125 years of history. This project is not limited to an administrative act. It is part of a stated desire for transparency and enlightened governance.
And now in the Ali Sabih region, and more specifically its capital, in Ali Sabih region is preparing to host a major event. The Ministry of Social Affairs and Solidarity is under the leadership of Minister Olouf Ismail Abdou is working tirelessly to ensure the success of this moment. In the Ali Sabih region this year, the region has been chosen to inaugurate the National Solidarity Week with the theme Solidarity and Social Development, the pillar of our national cohesion. The regional authorities, including the prefect of the region, the president of the regional council, as well as local parliamentarians, MPs, and the Ministry of Social Affairs and Solidarity, are fine-tuning the final details concerning mobilization, reception, and communication to ensure flawless organization. This launch will mark a symbolic turning point with a meeting next Saturday between the President of the Republic, Ismail Omar Guelleh, and the population of the interior regions represented by their traditional leaders. This exchange promises to be rich in emotion and symbolism as part of an initiative aimed at strengthening the ties between the country's various communities. Starting Friday, Asr Jog in Ali Sabih will become the nerve center for a series of social events, transforming the city into a hub of exchanges, meetings, and fraternity. Inauguration, laying of a foundation stone, and open discussion will be on the agenda, highlighting concrete solidarity action unfolding across the country. The Court of Auditors of Djibouti organized a solemn session today for the oath-taking of the 3 new magistrates. The ceremony took place at the court's premises located on Boulevard of the Republic in accordance with Article 5 of Organic Law, number 9. The magistrates appointed by decree number 2024-2077, Article 29 are Mrs. Zamzam Mohammed Ali, Mrs. Sumaya Abdi Hussein, and Mrs. Nawal Ismail Abdu. This session brought together all the magistrates of the courts of auditors as well as the relatives and friends of the newly appointed officials. The event officially confirmed the commitment to the service of public financial justice, highlighting the importance of their role within the institution. The court reaffirmed its commitment to transparency, rigor, and integrity in the management of public finances. In her speech, Mrs. Madiba Ismail Aulad underscored the high level of responsibility and demanding nature of the magistrate's role. She highlighted that this position requires not only exceptional integrity but independence, but also an unwavering commitment to justice and the rule of law. Mrs. Aulad stressed that the magistrate must demonstrate impartiality and loyalty to the institution, ensuring that their decisions reflect the highest ethical standards. For her part, the president of the court, Ismahan Mahmoud Ibrahim, emphasized for her part the importance of responsibility and prestige associated with the status of a magistrate. She highlighted that being appointed to such a position is not only a professional honor but also a profound commitment to upholding the values of justice, fairness, and accountability. The finance law, the true compass of the state, is established each year as a key moment where the priorities of a government are outlined, balancing economic strategy, social imperatives, and commitment to citizens. We will explore now these issues in this magazine.
Every year, the finance law imposes itself as a solemn ritual in the political agenda, a mirror of a government's ambitions in the face of economic turmoil and social aspirations. Much more than a simple accounting exercise, it is a declaration of intent, a budget manifesto that shapes the collective destiny of the nation. The finance law is a bit like the theater where the priorities of an executive are displayed. Behind its columns of figures, it translates a vision, a strategy for the year to come. This is where the outlines of the major national guidelines are drawn, where to invest, where to save, and how to maintain this fragile balance between rigor and ambition. Health, education, defense, ecological transition, so many chapters of a budgetary story that reveals the values and commitment of a government. The process of drafting this law is not an isolated act, but a dialogue, sometimes stormy, between the executive and parliament. In this arena, each amendment, each speech sheds light on the tensions and aspirations that drive the nation's representative. Finding the right balance between the imperative of budgetary discipline and the expectation of citizens becomes a political balancing act where each decision is examined and debated. Faced with the unpredictability of the times, the amending finance law is presented as a tool for resilience, adjusting the sails along the way, reacting to economic or social and forcing events. This is the art of this instrument. It testified to a form of governance capable of adapting without losing sight of the essential responsibility and transparency in the management of public funds. The finance law is also an act of democratic pedagogy. It opens the state's book to citizens, offering them an overview of how their contributions are used. Beyond the figures, the Finance Act is a living testimony to the choices of a nation. It embodies today's challenges and tomorrow's hope, an instrument where reason and emotion, strategy and responsibility intersect. The Finance Act remains a major political and economic work, a complex score where each note resonates with the challenges of a society in search of equity and progress.
And now we're heading to the north, where, as part of his work mission in rural areas after his visit to Alay Dada, the prefect of the Obakh region, Mr. Musa Aden Migani, traveled on Tuesday, January 7, 2025, to the locality of Andoli, located 120 kilometers from the region Obakh, accompanied by Vice President of the Regional Council, Mr. Ahmed Ali Mohammed, Lieutenant Colonel Ilyas Yusuf, head of the RIO, the deputy head of the Regional Education Service, Mr. Abdul Qadir, and his key collaborators. The purpose of this visit was to bring the prefectural administration closer to the resident and to assess the pressing needs of rural communities. Since his arrival in Obakh, Prefect Musa Aden Migani has traveled to nearly all the localities in the region to stay in touch with the rural population. The meeting took place under the village Palaver tree, where a session began with the welcoming speech delivered by the representatives of the village chief, Mr. Salah Mohammed, the sub-prefect, Mr. Muhammad Ali Omar, and the vice president of the regional council, Mr. Ahmed Ayusuf, also spoke to express their gratitude to the population and to announce the agenda for this visit. Afterward, other customary leaders as well as the representatives of the youth and women presented their concerns and needs to the prefect. Following this meeting, the prefect visited existing public infrastructure, particularly the school, to demonstrate his commitment to the population. As part of the campaign for the distribution of long-lasting insecticide-treated bed nets, the Ministry of Health recently deployed a significant batch of these nets in the Dakhil region. On the occasion, the prefect of the region, Mr. Hassan, the vice president of the regional council, Mr. Hamad, and the chief medical officer, Dr. Rajama, received the crucial batch in the presence of the local authorities. It is important to note that the distribution of insecticide-treated bed nets is an effective preventive measure against malaria. By facilitating access to these bed nets, especially in high-risk regions such as Dakhil, these initiatives aim to significantly reduce the incidence of the disease. And for the international news, as I mentioned, the Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, Cyprus President Nikos, and Greek Prime Minister Kyriakos gathered for the 10th Trilateral Cooperation Summit. They discussed regional crises, including those in Gaza, Syria, Libya, and Sudan, and reaffirmed their commitment to stabilizing Lebanon and reinforcing the ceasefire in Palestine. This summit also focused on strengthening economic ties with projects such as the electrical interconnection between Egypt and Greece and the cooperation within the framework of the Eastern Mediterranean Gas Forum. A parallel economic forum was held to enhance trade and energy networks between the three countries. Since 2014, these regular meetings have demonstrated their shared commitment to addressing regional challenges and reinforcing their cooperation. The International Red Cross is calling for safe and unimpeded humanitarian access to Gaza, where catastrophic conditions worsened by flooding and cold are threatening the lives of civilians, particularly babies. The lack of access is making aid delivery difficult, with thousands of people living in tents without blankets, suffering from hunger, cold, and lack of medical care. Since the beginning of the conflict, 332 humanitarian workers have lost their lives and many hospitals are now out of service. The situation is further exacerbated by the closure of the Rafah border crossing, limiting the entry of essential aid. And now in the United States, a powerful winter storm is affecting a large portion of the United States, bringing more than 20 centimeters of snow in gusts of up to 72 kilometers per hour. 5 deaths have been reported, while hundreds of thousands of homes are without electricity and over 2,300 flights have been cancelled. The extreme weather conditions, which are moving toward the East Coast, have caused school closures and road accidents and may lead to tornadoes and hailstorms. Temperatures are expected to drop to minus 18 degrees with a forecast of strong winds by climate change. This is it for this 9 p.m. English News edition. Thank you for watching us and stay tuned for more on RTD.